Imagine being thrown into the vacuum of space. No spacesuit. No oxygen. No protection. The freezing cold would kill you in seconds. The radiation would destroy your cells. The pressure differential would make your blood boil. You'd be dead before you could even realize what happened. But there's a creature, smaller than a grain of sand, living in the moss on your roof right now, that can survive this. Not for seconds. For days. In 2007, scientists sent thousands of these animals into orbit. Exposed them to the raw vacuum of space. To cosmic radiation levels that would kill any other living thing. And when they brought them back to Earth, they woke up. And walked away. This is the tardigrade. The most indestructible animal on Earth. And what makes it impossible to kill might hold the key to humanity's future among the stars. The tardigrade was first discovered in 1773 by a German zoologist named Johann August Ephraim Goes. He was examining moss samples under a primitive microscope when he saw something extraordinary: tiny, eight-legged creatures that looked like miniature bears, walking through the water film between moss leaves. He called them kleiner Wasserbär, little water bears. For over a century, they were just a curiosity. Cute microscopic animals living in damp environments everywhere: moss, lichens, soil, even the film of water on your sidewalk after rain. Then, in 1948, scientists discovered something impossible. A researcher let his tardigrade samples dry out completely by accident. He assumed they were dead. But when he rehydrated them days later, they came back to life. Not some of them. All of them. This triggered decades of research. Scientists began testing tardigrade limits. They froze them to near absolute zero. They heated them to over 300 degrees Fahrenheit. They subjected them to pressures 6 times deeper than the deepest ocean trench. The tardigrade survived everything. But in 2007, the European Space Agency decided to test the ultimate extreme, the vacuum of space itself. The results would rewrite what we thought was possible for life. Let me paint you a picture of what space actually does to living tissue. In the vacuum of space, there's no air pressure. On Earth, 14.7 pounds per square inch of atmospheric pressure keeps your body from expanding. In space, fluids vaporize. Your lungs collapse. Your blood begins to bubble. Then there's temperature. The side facing the sun experiences 250 degrees Fahrenheit. The shadow side drops to minus 250. And the radiation. Without Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere to protect you, you're bombarded by cosmic rays and solar radiation that shred DNA molecules like bullets through paper. A human would lose consciousness in 15 seconds. Death would follow in 1 to 2 minutes. The tardigrade? Scientists placed thousands of them on the outside of a satellite. No protection. No shielding. Just tardigrades, exposed to raw space for 10 days as the satellite orbited Earth. When they brought them back and rehydrated them, over 68% survived. Many of them immediately began reproducing, producing healthy offspring. How? The answer lies in one of the most bizarre biological processes ever discovered: cryptobiosis. When conditions become lethal, the tardigrade doesn't fight. It doesn't adapt. It stops being alive. Or more accurately, it enters a state so close to death that the difference becomes philosophical. Here's what happens. The tardigrade contracts into a shape called a ton, pulling its 8 legs inside its body, reducing its surface area by up to 90%. Its metabolism drops to 0.01% of normal. It's not slow. It's effectively zero. Then it does something extraordinary: it replaces almost all the water in its cells with a sugar called trehalose. This sugar forms a glass-like matrix that physically protects cellular structures from damage, like wrapping each protein, each strand of DNA, in bubble wrap made of sugar molecules. It also produces unique proteins called tardigrade-specific intrinsically disordered proteins, or TDPs. These proteins form protective clouds around the tardigrade's DNA, shielding it from radiation damage. In this state, the tardigrade has no detectable metabolism, no respiration, no cell division. By every definition we have, it's not alive. But it's not dead either. It's waiting. And it can wait for decades. The longest recorded cryptobiosis period is over 30 years. One tardigrade was revived after being frozen in Antarctic moss for over 3 decades. When conditions improve, when water returns, the tardigrade rehydrates. The sugar dissolves. Metabolism restarts. And it simply continues. As if nothing happened. Let's break down why this is so scientifically insane. First, the water replacement strategy. Water is essential for life as we know it. Every biochemical reaction in your body happens in water. Your cells are mostly water. When water freezes, it forms crystals that puncture cell membranes. When it evaporates, cells collapse. The tardigrade solves this by removing the water entirely and replacing it with trehalose. This isn't just dehydration, this is molecular substitution. The trehalose maintains the 3D structure of proteins and cell membranes without water present. It's like replacing the liquid in a snow globe with resin. The structure remains, but it's now solid and indestructible. Second, the DNA protection system. Cosmic radiation causes DNA breaks. In humans, even small amounts of radiation damage can cause cancer or cell death. Our cells have repair mechanisms, but they require active metabolism to function. The tardigrade's TDP proteins physically suppress DNA breaks during cryptobiosis. When the tardigrade rehydrates, any remaining damage is repaired by incredibly efficient DNA repair enzymes, some of the best in nature. Studies have shown that tardigrades can withstand radiation doses 1,000 times higher than what would kill a human. Third, the pressure tolerance. Tardigrades have survived pressure equivalent to 6 times the deepest ocean, over 6,000 atmospheres. They've also survived near vacuum conditions. This is possible because at their microscopic size, and in their dehydrated ton state, there's simply not enough structure for pressure to damage. They're so small and compact that mechanical forces distribute evenly across their body. Fourth, the temperature extremes. Tardigrades have survived. Near absolute zero, minus 458 degrees Fahrenheit, just above minus 273 degrees Celsius. Boiling water, 300 plus degrees Fahrenheit. Frozen in solid ice for decades. In cryptobiosis, with no water and no metabolism, temperature becomes almost irrelevant. Chemical reactions need water and molecular movement. No water, no movement, no damage. What we're looking at here isn't just survival. It's a complete redefinition of what life can be. The tardigrade has essentially discovered a biological pause button, a way to step outside the normal rules of chemistry and wait for conditions to improve. Now you might be thinking, that's incredible, but what does a microscopic moss creature have to do with us? Everything, potentially. Space exploration. NASA and other space agencies are intensely studying tardigrades. Because if we understand how they survive radiation and vacuum, we might be able to develop better radiation shielding for astronauts. Create radiation-resistant crops for space colonies. Design suspended animation systems for long-duration space travel. Imagine if we could put astronauts into a tardigrade-like state for the years-long journey to Mars. No food needed. No aging. No radiation damage accumulating. Medicine and preservation. The trehalose strategy is being studied for organ preservation for transplants, current limit, hours. Tardigrade method could extend to days or weeks. Vaccine stabilization in hot climates, no refrigeration needed. Blood storage without freezing. Treatment for dehydration injuries. Agriculture. Scientists are exploring whether tardigrade genes could be inserted into crops to create drought-resistant plants that survive without water. Radiation-resistant food crops. Freeze-tolerant vegetables. Some of this is already happening. In 2016, researchers successfully transferred tardigrade genes into human cells, giving those cells increased resistance to radiation. But there's something deeper here. Something philosophical. The tardigrade teaches us that life is more flexible, more resilient, more creative than we ever imagined. We think of life as fragile. We protect it, shelter it, worry that it might disappear at any moment. But life, real life, evolved over billions of years, is tougher than we give it credit for. The tardigrade has survived all 5 mass extinction events. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. Tardigrade survived. The worst ice ages. They survived. Volcanic eruptions, climate collapse, cosmic radiation bombardment. They survived it all. And they're still here. Right now. In the moss outside your window. On your roof. In the park across the street. Waiting. Ready for whatever comes next. There are over 1,300 species of tardigrades living on Earth right now. They're everywhere. In every ecosystem. On every continent, including Antarctica. They were here before humans. They'll likely be here long after we're gone. And they don't care. They're not trying to conquer. They're not competing with anyone. They're just enduring. Quietly. Patiently. Waiting for conditions to be right. When I think about the tardigrade, I think about resilience. Not the flashy kind. Not the kind that fights back or overcomes through force. But the quiet kind. The kind that knows when to stop. When to wait. When to simply endure. In our human lives, we're obsessed with constant motion. Constant progress. We panic when things slow down. We fear stillness. But sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is pause. Protect what matters. Wait out the storm. And trust that when conditions improve, you'll wake up. You'll continue. The tardigrade has been doing this for over 500 million years. Through ice ages and asteroid impacts. Through the rise and fall of countless species. It has outlasted the dinosaurs. It has outlasted 99% of every species that's ever lived. Not because it's the strongest. Not because it's the smartest or the fastest. But because it knows how to survive the impossible. Not by fighting it. By accepting it. By transforming in response to it. By becoming something that doesn't need the usual rules. Right now, somewhere in the moss near you, there's a tardigrade. Maybe in cryptobiosis. Maybe active, walking on its 8 tiny legs, eating algae, living its microscopic life. It doesn't know it survived space. It doesn't know it's the toughest animal on Earth. It just is. And maybe that's the real lesson. That survival isn't about being invincible. It's about being adaptable. It's about knowing when to fight, and when to simply wait. The tardigrade will be here long after the sun expands and boils away Earth's oceans. Scientists believe they could survive until the sun dies, 5 billion years from now. They're not immortal. They can die. But as a species, they're about as close to eternal as life gets. And they did it not by conquering nature, but by mastering the art of patience. The tardigrade doesn't fear the end. Because it knows something we're still learning. That endings are just pauses. That death is just a transformation. That sometimes, the secret to living forever isn't refusing to stop. It's knowing exactly when to stop. And trusting you'll start again. If the idea of microscopic animals surviving in space fascinates you, you're in the right place. We're exploring the most extreme survival strategies in nature, from creatures that freeze solid to animals with biological gears. Subscribe to see what impossible adaptation we cover next. Because the natural world is stranger, tougher, and more incredible than any science fiction. Hit that bell so you don't miss it. The next video might just change how you see life itself. What extreme creature should we cover next? Let me know in the comments below.